Hello, trading is closed on January 14th, 2020. We'll go over our calls. We said there was a 50-50 chance of gapping down, which happened, but that I felt higher prices would print, which they did. Look for the pattern with the early high, and the truth is you can read this either way. The highs on time here, the lows on time here, and here's your midday counter trend rally. But you could also say this was the low on time. That was the high on time, although it's quite unusual to have it that weak. And you could say that's the midday decline. So if this were all we had, you couldn't tell. But there's a rule of someone else that these patterns repeat every 32 calendar days, and based on this, I'm calling this a pattern with the early high. Now the catch is, I've checked these for years and they don't invert when you use that 32-day system. Now, this looks like an inversion to me on Friday, so I'm a bit leery of the call, because if it did invert once, maybe it'll do it again. But for now, I'm going to call this the pattern with the early high, question mark. Which you mean tomorrow would have the early high too. There's a higher MEJT target, and unless we gap down smartly, my call is that that number prints. We got an ultimate sell signal, we got the minimum. You usually get more than the minimum, and that's it. Here's a buy signal. It just means there's a higher price target. We hit a new all-time high. That's enough to satisfy the signal. Don't forget, when you hit the target, there's resistance over. It doesn't mean resistance has to hold. MEJT says the drop is false, gives us this target, and that's my call unless we gap down smartly. Now, a number of people are calling for a top here. This is certainly possible based on sentiment indicators. I've stopped using DeMark's stuff, but any high today over this high gave us bar 13 of a combo sell. So if it drops, you can explain it a little after the fact. I think the breadth is too strong. The new highs are too strong. The clamor for a high is too strong for me. I don't think the rally's over. Here's what I said. I think this should have been higher. I think we trade higher tomorrow, which we did. Gapping down smartly kills the call. I don't know if I call 3 points smart. I said we didn't have to close higher. Well, for tomorrow, there's a higher target. Unless we gap down smartly, I think it'll print. Doesn't mean we close higher. The daily pattern should be the one with the early high, and if so, the failure to close under the midday low also calls for higher prices. But this pattern could also be read as the one with the early low, and if that's what it is, failure to close near the high should lead to lower prices. It's always gapping strongly, and the undesired direction kills the call. I'm putting question marks after these. In spite of the action Friday, which looks like an inversion, I'm going to assume there was no inversion, that this is the pattern with the early high, and the failure to undercut these highs, these lows, is positive. Now it's negative when you hit a new all-time high and close in the red, and it's really negative when you undercut all these prior highs. But all we had to do to get a reversal signal when you were under this low was to hold it. But in spite of this big drop, we couldn't take out any of the lows either. And that's not enough, in my book, to call for a change in trend. Of course, if we gap under these lows, then it is. But for right now, assuming we don't gap down smartly, I want the pattern with the early high, and that's my target, and that's today's call.